What's up, guys? This is the Osmo.com Night Shift Podcast. We're talking some MLB for Saturday, August 17th. Early slate is just 3 games, so we'll mostly be focusing on the main slate. Get to Osmo.com, check out everything we have to offer. Our premium content under the Premium tab is available for NFL. You can sign up for the rest of MLB as well, so go check that out if you're not already a premium member. Osmo will be doing his lineup card article, which is slate-specific advice, gives you sort of his breakdown of the slate, kind of gives you his take on the chalk, whether or not it's good or bad, or if he's playing it. So super helpful article, one of my favorites that he does. Probably my favorite that he does, actually. Anyways, we will have the spotlight hitters, pitchers, and stacks. I will be doing those. Since it is a Saturday, Josh will be off. All right, let's get into this slate. So we'll go early first. There's a 105 Eastern game, Blue Jays Yankees. That one not on either slate, so won't be talking about that one. No need to play a showdown slate. There's already enough preseason, and I don't know what other sports are going on. There's probably weekend golf, I'm sure. So not gonna spend time talking about that game. 11-game main slate. So let's just get this early one out of the way. Baltimore, Cleveland, Alex Cobb going up against Adam Plutko. Plutko is going to be chalk on this slate. I mean, hard to imagine he doesn't see huge ownership. He's 5,800. He's pretty stretched out, and he's been okay in the majors. Looks fine to me in the minors. When he got sent back down, 86 pitches in his last start, was getting really good swinging strikes, and going up against Baltimore, all these righties. I mean, he's going to be chalk, but I think good chalk. I don't really like Baltimore hitters, so I would probably eat the chalk and hope for 14, 15 points, which is very attainable for 5,800 on this early slate. And he unlocks DeGrom, who is in the next game. Indians bats are going to be very popular because of Plutko, so if you want to get different, stay away from either Plutko or the Indians bats because they're in an awesome spot against Alex Cobb. Again, you know what you're getting yourself into as far as ownership. I think they are the best plays. I think Plutko is the best value, but there's always ways to get a little bit different. Let's go to Mets and Phillies. Jacob DeGrom going up against Jake Arrieta. DeGrom is 13,000. In a pretty decent matchup against the Phillies. DeGrom looks at the top of his game, and I would expect another solid outing here in Philadelphia. I mean, I'd want to get in as much DeGrom. Like, if I was MMEing this, I'd want to get in as much DeGrom as possible. The problem is you're not really able to fit in a ton of bats if you go to him, so interested to see his ownership, and I would definitely check that out. If you're an Osmo Premium member, you can see that and figure out where you can get leverage on this early slate, because I really like DeGrom. I really like all the chalk. So that makes me sort of not want to play it because I don't want to just be holding hands with the rest of the field. But Arrieta on the other side, I'm not really on him. I kind of like some of these Mets bats. Brandon Nimmo has come back to life. Michael Conforto, Jeff McNeil even for 3,400. So I like Todd Frazier against righties as well. 101 WRC plus for him, 45% hard contact rate. And I think I will be going to some Met stacks if I end up playing this, because that's one spot where I think is going to be a little bit underowned against Arrieta, who just has trouble missing bats. Regardless of how many strikeouts he gets, he doesn't miss a lot of bats. He gets a lot of called strikes, which is fine, but for DFS, I think people are going to fall for this price against Mets offense. Has actually been incredibly hot. Houston and Oakland, last game of the early slate. We've got Dallas Keuchel going up against Trevor Cahill. So I don't really like Keuchel here. I wonder if that's going to be an unpopular opinion, but I like Matt Chapman and Mark Canha, Chad Pinder, really these Oakland bats, Chris Davis. They're all in play for me. Oakland looks a lot better to me. They're not striking out as much, especially against lefties. And Keuchel is awesome against left-handed bats, but he's going to get 9 righties here. So fire up some Oakland bats. I actually don't mind Trevor Cahill. He's going to get a lot of righty hitters here. Springer, Bregman, Correa, Gurriel, Gaddis, probably Maldonado as well. So 6 righties. Cahill's got awesome stuff when he's healthy. Hasn't had good results as of late. I would expect him to be relatively forgotten about on a 3-game slate. So I will play a bunch of Cahill. If I play this, that's another way I think I can get an edge because Houston bats will certainly have some ownership. All right, main slate. Here we go. Miami and St. Louis. Miami and Washington. Wei Yin Chen going up against Tommy Malone. Chen is on the road here. For some reason, he has massive home road splits. Looks like a completely different pitcher when he's in Miami. And he's obviously not in Miami right now. Going up against the Nationals. My kryptonite as of late, but look at the last month, a 111 WRC plus against lefties for Washington. They're striking out a lot, but Chen against righties doesn't really get that many strikeouts, just a 17.5% K rate on the season. So once again, Nats stack it is. Anthony Rendon, one of my favorite plays on the slate, as is Ryan Zimmerman for 4,700. Trey Turner at the top, 4,400. These Nats are cheap enough that they're just tough to avoid against Chen, who still gives up quite a bit of hard contact. Malone on the other side, 7,400, back-to-back games with 10 hits allowed. And I'm actually surprised he hasn't allowed like that many runs, just 2 runs in his last start, 77 pitches. So I'm kind of off the Malone train. Like, I don't even think it's that terrible of a spot for him, but he's just getting squared up so solidly in his last couple starts that makes me worried, especially against the Marlins team who people might just see Malone and the plate discipline stuff that I was referring to his last couple starts. But yeah, it's really tough for me to get behind him. I want to play Brian Anderson for 3,700 and even Starlin Castro to some extent for 3,900. Cubs, Pirates. We have Mike Montgomery going up against Joe Musgrove. This one might not even play. Looks like a lot of weather concerns here in Pittsburgh. And I don't really have interest in Montgomery or the Pittsburgh bats. Musgrove, I do think, is very interesting against the Cubs. We've seen Musgrove have big upside starts, miss a ton of bats, and coming off a pretty solid outing against the Giants, especially in good matchups. I do like Musgrove a lot, but this may be not even worth talking about because I don't know that this one plays or plays cleanly enough where you can get in a starting pitcher, and I'm not really crazy about either side for hitting. Tampa Bay and Boston. Let's go to who's the starter here? Oh, there we go. Another game with weather issues. Tyler Glasnow going up against David Price. This one kind of sucks if there's weather because I like the Red Sox onslaught. Glasnow, kind of like Cahill, he's got really good stuff, a pretty good arsenal. And when he's on, he's really tough to hit. When he's not, he can implode with the best of them. So I don't think he's going to be able to get a ton of strikeouts against the Red Sox. So Mookie Betts at a nice $6,300 price tag. That is kind of insane. Glasnow has big issues holding runners too, so that's probably why Betts is even more expensive than his usual expensive self. But I do really, really like this Red Sox stack, and I'm hoping that people get scared off by Glasnow, how good he's been. But I'm all over Moreland, Benintendi, Betts I mentioned, JD Martinez, and up through Ian Kinsler if he is in the 6th spot. So Red Sox, one of my favorite stacks. Hope this game plays. I also like David Price, who looks phenomenal to me. Just mowed down the Orioles in his last start, 6 innings, 10 strikeouts, above 20% swinging strike rate. Swinging strikes have been way up for Price as of late. He just looks like at the top of his game and going to get some lefties for the Rays here. So super appealing option for under 10K if you're not on the Fultonevich train, which I don't blame you because I actually prefer Price at his price on DK over Fultonevich. All right, Kansas City and Chicago. We have Brad Keller going up against Dylan Covey. All right, let's see here. There we go. All right, so Brad Keller against Dylan Covey. We've got $6,100 for Brad Keller, $6,300 for Covey. I don't like Covey or really the Kansas City bats all that much. Keller does intrigue me a little bit. In his last 3 starts, he's gone 104, 98, and 101 pitches. And look, I have not a clue really how or if Keller is going to be able to miss bats against the White Sox. But if he is, and if he's brought his best stuff, which isn't that great, but if Keller is on in this game, the White Sox will let you strike them out. Moncada looks lost right now. You've got Tim Anderson, who strikes out a bunch, over 25% against righties. Avisel Garcia, over 25%. Ryan Lamar, if he's in the lineup, actually he's not in the projected lineup, but anyways, Adam Engel, my least favorite hitter in all of the MLB. Moncada is up almost to 35% against righties. There are just so many potential strikeouts, even for a guy that doesn't have great stuff. And he goes deep, and that's really appealing for 6,100, even with the 5 total against him. A lot of Brad Keller interest. And shockingly, not a lot of interest against the Royals, or against Keller and the Royals bullpen. So kind of off of the White Sox here. And I would guess they're going to be popular, 5 total and no one above $4,200. So maybe that'll be one of my stands. It's good hitting weather. I can't blame someone for taking the White Sox, but I don't think I'll get there myself, kind of like Friday. Detroit and Minnesota. I don't know who's going yet for Detroit, but maybe Ryan Carpenter. If it is, he looks really bad to me. So I hope it's Ryan Carpenter. Twins with a huge total here, so the starter must be out. Let's see if I can do a quick search. The starter was not out when I started this, but it's crazy what a few minutes can do. Yeah, I don't see it on the Tigers official website, but at least one Vegas book must know who the starter is, because there is a line. Twins are heavily favored, 5.5 run total. If it's Carpenter, I like all the Twins bats. Polanco, Rosario especially, but even Kepler for 3,600. I might even get to playing Josh's boy, Logan Forsythe, for 3,900. And then Jake Cave grades out pretty well for me for 3,200 as well. So if it's Carpenter, I love the Twins. If it's pretty much anyone on the Tigers, I really like the Twins. The total really says it all. Cole Stewart going for Minnesota. He had a fine outing in his first start, and that was on the 12th. But 2 swinging strikes in 74 pitches. That's not great, obviously. He was able to miss bats at AA, but when he got up to AAA, a lot less bats were missed. And then that first start, it was against the Tigers, was not missing bats, had 1 strikeout, went 4 1/3. So the results weren't terrible, but I seriously don't think I can even play him for 4,500 here. Just very, very little strikeout upside for Cole Stewart. Colorado and Atlanta. Antonio Senzatella against Mike Foltynewicz. Senzatella is 7K, really struggling with hard hits. This one has some weather, but assuming it plays okay, I like the Braves stack. It's kind of overpriced with Acuna at 5,900, Freeman for 54, and then everyone in the top 4 up in the high 4 range. But these guys are really good hitters. Markakis never gets played, but for 4,800, I think that's a fine play against Senzatella, who just has a 7% swinging strike rate on the season, just a 23% chase rate. This looks like a really fun Braves stack spot. And then Folty for 11-1, sure, he's overpriced, but Colorado outside of Coors is something I like to attack, especially with righties. Fulte's going to get 5 righties at the least. I'm not worried about Walters down there if he's going to be catching. I do like Fulte again. I prefer Price, but you may not even be able to play Price with that weather in Boston. So if this is the one that's going to go, then I'll gladly pay up for Fulte at 11-1. Which, yeah, it is an overprice, but I think he's got 25-plus point upside, which a lot of pitchers don't really on this slate, in my opinion. Milwaukee and St. Louis. Wade Miley going up against Miles Mikolas. I think Miley's in for a pretty rough outing here. St. Louis has just been smoking lefties over the last month. The highest WRC plus in that span, a 197 ISO, the highest on base percentage near 400, and then what was the other thing I was looking at? Their K rate is only 13%. So pretty crazy stuff there for the Cardinals. Really woken up against lefties. Marcelo Zuna, Paul DeJong, Jed Jorko, Yadi Molina, I love anytime he's against the lefty, and he's 4,100. Not even high prices here for the Cardinals, and just a 4.6 total. So, I mean, they'll have some ownership for sure, but yeah, I think the Cardinals are a top 3 stack for me, maybe. So I like that they have a pretty low total against Miley. Mikolas on the other side is 8,300. He's really solid against righties, not that great against lefties. So a balanced Brewers lineup, I think, is going to be trouble for him. He's a guy I respect, but I don't really think I'm on him. I don't really think I'm on the Brewers bat. So hoping that side of the matchup stays quiet, and really this one's all about Cardinals bats for me against the lefty Miley. Let's go San Francisco and Cincinnati. Madison Bumgarner against Matt Harvey. Bumgarner for 9K. The results have been good for him lately. He's a minus 130 favorite, but honestly, I don't really have much of any interest against these Reds in this park. 82 degrees, wind blowing out. Eugenio Suarez is only 4,800, so I'm locking that in. I want to play as much Suarez as possible. I like Phillip Ervin. Brandon Dixon, dual position eligibility, first and outfield is only 2,900. And then Peraza off the top, surprisingly solid. Solid. I mean, he's okay against lefties. Doesn't really strike out. And so I hope Bumgarner is chalky, especially if the weather looks bad for Price in some of those other East Coast games. Because I'm on the Reds. What am I missing here? Oh, Harvey is 6,500. Not really any interest there. I'd rather go to a guy like Keller, who I think has some strikeout potential. I actually really, really like Brandon Belt once again. He's 4,200, so as a one-off, love Belt. And then maybe some Allen Hansen dual position eligibility for him, and 4,100. So that's going to do it for that game. Let's go Angels and Rangers. We have Andrew Heaney going up against Martin Perez. Neither pitcher on the table for me. The Angels have not been great against lefties, but anytime Martin Perez is on the mound, I have to at least consider the stack. If the Angels are going to be like the chalk of the chalk, then I think they're a top 5 stack for me. I'm not sure if they're top 3. But I'm assuming everyone's going to be on them. You see Fletcher there for 3,400 in the 2 spot. Pujols under 4K. Jeffrey Marte is 3,400. So not great names, but they're going to have a big total, and it's against Martin Perez. So I guess I'm probably going to be lower than the field on the Angels. Heaney, his weakness is righty power and really just power in general, and the Rangers have a lot of it. You look at what they've done over the last month, a 202 ISO against lefties. They don't get on base a ton, but when they're swinging for the fences and they're connecting, it's going to be really tough. There's no total in this game just yet, but Jurickson Profar really sticks out to me as one of my favorite plays here. He's 4,700. just looks like a good hitter against lefties all year. So I've been on him quite a bit. Elvis Andrus at 4,200. I don't know if Beltre is going to play this game. He's got a tag next to his name, so who knows? But even some of the lefties, Gallo, I'll play Gallo lefty-lefty. I'll play Odor lefty-lefty too. He's been really surprising. So I like this full Rangers stack, and I'm sure they will be popular, as they should be. Arizona and San Diego, we have Zach Godley against Clayton Richard. Godley probably going to be one of the highest-owned players on the slate, but really good reason here. In Petco, he's had good starts against this Padres team. He looks awesome. Swinging strikes not super high in his last 2 starts, but I don't see any reason that we need to stop playing Godley here. He's going to get a bunch of righties. He can strike out lefties. It doesn't really matter for him. Just a lot of poor hitters against righties. Jankowski, Renfroe strikes out a bunch, as does Will Myers, as does Hosmer. Spangenberg, if he's in there, is a K machine. So Godley, one of my favorite options on the slate, a probable spotlight pitcher. And probably no bats against Godley as well, because I'll have a ton of him. San Diego side, Clayton Richard is 5,300. Pitches a lot better at home. I can see the case for him, but it's just really tough mentally for me to play a guy, even at 5,300 in a good park, when I know that he's going to probably let Goldschmidt and Pollock put the ball in play every time they're up. And those guys are 5,300 and 4,600, but I'm interested in them once again. Anytime they're against a lefty at somewhat low ownership, which I'm expecting we see here, I'm just always going to be interested. I'm always trying to get over the field on those guys. I have them as really awesome hitters against lefties. Goldschmidt especially. So Richard, yeah, I think I'm going to be off of him. I think Keller's going to be my guy in that range, and I'll end up with minimal amounts of Clayton Richard. Rich Hill and Erasmo Ramirez will take the mound in the last game. Dodgers and Mariners, a 4.3 total for LA, 3.8 for the Mariners. Not a ton that I'm interested in as far as Hill against the Mariners bats. Anytime Nelson Cruz is against a lefty, I am in, kind of like what I just said with Pollock and Goldschmidt. Cruz is only 4,300, so that's a really nice price there in the late night hammer. Mitch Haniger is okay as well, but really this one is about Cruz on the Seattle side. And then, Erasmo Ramirez against the... Oh, I should talk about Hill quick. Kind of concerned that they pulled him at 85 pitches in his last start. He got through 6 innings, was having a good start, and got pulled. Like, if they're going to start doing that, I know it was in Coors, but if they're going to start doing that again, then I just can't play him for 9,300. I don't think he's got the most upside in the world to start with. Now you put him against a team that doesn't strike out that much, just got back one of their best hitters, and he's on the road here. It's just going to be a no on Rich Hill for me. I sound like Randy Jackson. It's going to be a no for me. So Erasmo Ramirez, giving up 43% hard contact to lefties over the last year and change. I guess, yeah, I hate to say it, but I'm going to be stacking the Dodgers once again. They've cost me so much money as of late, but can't argue with the spot here against Erasmo. It's a bad park for sure, but for whatever reason, the Dodgers cannot hit lefties as of late. But looking at what they've done to righties, they've been much, much better, which isn't tough to do when you're throwing out a 60 WRC plus or whatever they have against lefties. 120 WRC plus against righties over the last month for LA, a 340 on base percentage, 214 ISO. These are all numbers near the top 5 in their respective categories. So Dodgers stack once again. I even like Justin Turner for 4,300, Manny Machado 4,700. These guys are just too cheap, and the park doesn't matter to me that much. So maybe we get the Dodgers at low ownership here. I think people are going to be still on them. They want to cash in those Dodgers tickets with that just nasty lineup up and down. But if Muncie's in for 4,600, that sweetens the pot even more. So Dodgers once again. I'm on the Nationals once again. You can just replay this until the end of the season because apparently I just stack those teams every single day. Seems like that as of late. So that'll do it for the night shift. Hope you guys enjoy your Friday and Saturday nights. Watch some baseball. Get ready. Watch some NFL preseason, whatever you do. Check out Awesemo's lineup card article. That will be very helpful when you're making your lineups. It'll come out around 4 Eastern. Slate-specific advice on the main slate. Spotlight hitters, pitchers, and stacks will probably be out by the time you listen to this. Good luck on this slate, guys. We'll talk to you on Monday.